Today on John's Garage, what we're going to be working on is a 2008 Honda Odyssey. The job today is to go ahead and do a four-wheel brake job on this vehicle. It's a traditional soccer mom's, baseball mom's vehicle, and the owner in this case shall remain nameless, but they know who they are. Anyhow, what do you need? You need new parts. This is a rotor, brand new rotor made by Raybestos. It's coated, it resists rust, and what you get in the wintertime with road salt and things like that, it'll last for a good long time. It's a quality part. Also from Raybestos, brand new pads. The pads are a friction material that when the brake is applied, stops the rotor from turning, stops the wheel from turning. Also, beyond the parts and the vehicle, you need tools. Here's a breaker bar. If you don't have an impact wrench, this will do wonders. Leverage is everything in this particular line of work. Also, you need the proper chemicals to go ahead and lubricate the parts that need to be lubricated. There's slider pins on these calipers. There's other parts that move against each other, and proper lubricants are key to getting a quality job.
Okay, so here we are with the jack itself, and we're looking at the tab pinch point in the unibody section where it's safe to jack the Honda Odyssey. I checked in the owner's manual and it showed this to be the location. Now here's the slot in the donut that will protect the unibody structure, commonly known as the frame, although not a frame in a conventional sense of a perimeter frame or X-frame we talk about with a truck. But as you can see, it goes in there, and when you lift on the jack, it comes up like this and protects the body from any bending, damage, or distortion, and that's why we use this piece. I've used it on other cars like Ford Mustang, Camaro that have long been unibody, and it works well, and it really is a cheap investment in regard to the protection that it gives the vehicle.
Alright, so now we have the wheel off, and what we see is the brake rotor, which we're going to be replacing. We won't replace the caliper, but there's pads that go inside the caliper. Again, when you step on the brake pedal, it's a hydraulic action. It comes through this hard hose over there to a flexible hose and into the caliper. And what happens when you step on the brake, the caliper puts the pads against the rotor stop in the vehicle. Now you can take a look at the wear pattern on here. There's minor scoring. There's a little other edge, bright edge around the perimeter over here. We're getting a little bit of squealing, and that's the contact of the metal wear indicator against the rotor. And when your brakes are squeaking, it's time to go ahead and replace them, and that's the situation we have over here. Otherwise, it looks like the brakes have worn well over time. You'll notice that the black stuff over here is actually expended brake material. It ends up on rims and stuff, and what we're using today is a ceramic pad that will really greatly reduce a lot of this black, almost soot-like material that you have over time when you brake on the car. So what we have here then is that we have a 19 millimeter wrench to go ahead and hold one part of the caliper mounting bolt in place, and then we also have a 14 millimeter bolt head, and we're going to go ahead, there's two of these, we're going to remove them, and then what will happen is the caliper itself will come off, and then we're going to take the mounting bracket, which is this thing over here. We're going to take it off, the rotor's going to come off, and we're going to put simply the new parts on that you see over here and over there with the pads.
Alright, now that we've got the caliper off, and you can see the caliper over here, you can see the two pistons right here and right here. Those will have to be pushed further back into the bore so that when we put the new pads on, the caliper will be able to go back on. We're going to clean it up a little bit with wire brush and some brake clean. That's kind of a trade name for just the brake cleaning fluid that gets a lot of the deposits off that you don't want on there when you're doing a brake job. And then we'll also have to take the bracket off too. There's a couple of bolts that secures this. It keeps the rotor where it's supposed to be on the vehicle, and what we'll do is we'll pull out the old pads over here. There's one here and there's one there. I'm going to have to go ahead and get a screwdriver to pop them out. But anyhow, they will come out. We'll clean that up, and then we'll kind of reverse the procedure. Let me see if I can just kind of nudge this one out over here. Doesn't really want to come out. It's a lot of brake dust that's keeping it in. But here we go. All right, now we have the old pads out. These are the front pads, driver's side. They have been taken out, and what you can do is take a look at a side-by-side comparison of the new pad that we're going to put in. Notice this gap over here that you have in the pad. That's a wear indicator of sorts, in addition to the little tab over here which cuts the groove that makes the rotor shiny and also squeaks when the pad wears down. But look at how thick that pad material is over here. On the same pad that came out, it's basically non-existent. And ditto for this one over here. You can see how thick the friction material is over here. This wears down. You know, you can get a good 50,000, 75,000, maybe even 100,000 miles out of all this amount of friction material that's on there. And over here, as they say, ain't got nothing. So anyhow, we are going to go ahead and replace that, and this one goes on the inboard side with the noise indicator, and then or wear indicator rather, and this one is on the outboard side. But what we're going to do first is take off the bracket and put the new rotor on, and we'll show you how to do that in just a minute. Okay, now we have the bracket off, and I don't know if you can see in the background, we've got two 19mm bolts that's bolted that on. We took the caliper off before, as you might recall. So here's the rotor, and with the bracket off, we can now get the rotor off. Let's see if it'll come off by hand. And actually, it's being pretty cooperative. So bingo, that's off, and let's set it next to the new rotor. So you can see they're the same size, which is a great thing. And the thing you really can't tell that much is, without kind of feeling it, is that, you know, you've got the groove over here. It's a smooth finish right there. I took some of the brake clean and cleaned that off because from the factory there's oil that prevents the new rotor from rusting while it's in shipment. It's on the shelf, so we use this brake clean. We're going to clean up the hub area over here, as well as the caliper, the bracket, and then the dust guards right there, and then it's a matter of just reassembling the brakes and putting the wheel back on, and we're good. Simple as that. Okay, there's the new rotor. I've used the brake clean to go ahead and clean up the caliper, the bracket. We're going to pull this and those two things out of there. Those are the pins that allow the caliper to slide. And we're going to clean those off. We're going to apply new brake grease so that they can continue sliding and they don't seize up. That'll be next. At this stage, you can see that we have the new rotor on. The bracket has been remounted. We torqued the bolts to about 90 foot-pounds, and we have yet to put the caliper back on. As you can see, it's all cleaned up. These are the EHT hybrid technology pads from Raybestos. They have a GG friction rating, which means it has a very good bite. They're kind of a hybrid pad in between a metallic and a ceramic. Supposed to have the best qualities of each type of material. Low dusting and good initial bite, hence the GG rating, which is the highest you can get on a conventional brake pad. But from here on out, it's just a matter of bolting everything back up. We're going to torque the small caliper mounting bolts to 20 foot-pounds. Put it back on here, and then put the tire on, tighten the lugs to about 100 foot-pounds, and we're done on this side. So anyhow, all's good for now.